What was the single most influential decision you made in your life?
Moving to California. Then I want to throw it back at you.
Well, it wasn't my decision. My husband was transferred to San Francisco.
What was your childhood or your young adult impression of California as you were growing up?
Hollywood, glamour. Oh my goodness, it was wonderful. And then as I got older, it was kind of a wild and zany place. We're doing all kinds of things
That they didn't do back
that
home.
they didn't do back home. I had dear friends that said, there's a lot going on there, terrible divorce.
I was afraid that I wasn't going to match up. Fast-paced freeways, over freeways, and everybody's going 100 miles an hour. They're not cultured like we are back east. But also aware that people were leaving in droves to go there. So something's up.
California.
I had an aunt from Philadelphia who couldn't say enough bad things about California and about Disneyland. She was like, I just don't understand building these adult entertainment centers for children and spending all that money. Now, who would want to spend all that money to take their children to ride on a roller coaster?
Those are the crazy things Californians were doing.
Yes. But the best part about it was that it was 1969. Mm-hmm. So you have to think about what was happening in San Francisco in 1969.
The hate.
Oh, yeah. And I got divorced.
Ooh. Well, that kind of fits into my story as well.
I was what I would call really straight. So I was cautious in moving into this whole San Francisco scene, and then ended up having another baby 18 months later, so focused on being mom.
I had been a nurse for years and visiting nurse service in New York, and I decided I'd want to continue to pursue public health nursing. But in California, you needed your degree. So I said, fine, I'll pursue that. I was probably in my early 30s. And so we needed to do a little internship. So I went down the list and I see the house at San Quentin. And so I went home, told my husband I would be at the Hospitality Center for Prison Visitors at San Quentin. He said, San Quentin? Oh, you shouldn't be going over to San Quentin. So I said, well, sure, I'm going to find out about it. It's sponsored by Catholic Social Services. So I did. Absolutely loved it. Met wonderful people who had, at that time, were fully embracing social justice. And it resonated.
I was watching television one day, and there was this physician on television on a local talk show, a Monterey talk show. And he was a pediatrician, and he was talking about child abuse. He had lamb's brains in a jar on his lap, and he shook it. And he said, this is what happens to babies' brains when their parents shake them. So
really?
Off I go to meet Talcott Bates, because I decided that
Judy.
anybody was doing this kind of thing on the
great.
television had something to say.
Yeah.
And I ended up having this opportunity when the YWCA got some funding to start a Child Abuse Prevention Council, which was an organization that was going to try to bring education about abuse to law enforcement, clergy, schools.
I wound up getting a job at Hospice of Boston and loved it. Then we moved back to California. As it happened, Hospice of Petaluma had an opening.
I'll be darned.
Yes.
So that's when I met you.
And that's when we met. And the rest is history.
The rest is history.
Yeah.